Let's cross back to James Vasina, whose location will give us a bit more of an insight into exactly what we can expect from that opening ceremony. James, you are, of course, on the River Seine, where more than 100 boats will be travelling nearly 6 kilometres along that iconic river in what organisers are calling the most accessible opening ceremony in history. What more can you tell us?
Well, it's exactly going to be that, Selena, in exactly a year's time then. This very boat that we are on right now is going to be part of that ceremony, part of the over 100 boats that will be taking part in the opening ceremony. One that's for the first ever time is going to be outside of a stadium. Now, that poses many challenges, which we'll get to, but starting with what the actual plan is, well, they're going to leave from the east of Paris, the Quai des Stades, towards which we are heading. We're actually turning around right now because we're on what is actually a normal cruise for tourists. Just in front of me, there's several hundreds of people just admiring the sights throughout the city. So we're going to go back towards and follow the route that the ceremony will be taking, and going past every one of these spots. Now, on the boats is going to be the usual dancing and everything that you would see within within what would normally be a stadium. But on top of that, obviously, well, there's going to be all the security side and all the technical sides, everything that's going to be broadcast, and everything is going to have to be tied down to absolute perfection. There's already been some rehearsals. There was one rehearsal on the 17th of July with about half of the amount of boats that will be taking part in that rehearsal. But there's still plenty of time for them to do plenty more. But we're going to go through every site throughout. And what's going to be crazy is that we're going to see at this moment where these competitions are taking place. So take, for example, we're going to be heading towards the Place de la Concorde. Place de la Concorde, there's going to be the skateboarding event on there. Skateboarding, which is only going to make its second ever appearance in the Olympics, which is such almost in a way an anti-Olympic sport up until now. You would never have imagined this taking place in there. Well, it's going to be now taking place on the Place de la Concorde, which is the absolute, the pinnacle of everything that's all about the luxurious Paris. Skateboarding is going to be taking place on there. After that, towards the Eiffel Tower, you're going to have the beach volley there, and so on throughout along the River Seine. So we're going to see all of that in the opening ceremony, but everything has to be taken into every small detail. I mean, in just a few minutes, we're going to be speaking to the head of the company that owns these boats, who's been telling us a little bit about their preparations in just a few minutes' time.
It's truly going to be a spectacular sight, a lot of excitement ahead of that opening ceremony among Parisians here in the French capital. But of course, there are also concerns over security for such a large-scale event. What more can you tell us about what the French authorities are trying to do to ensure people's security?
Well, naturally there is, because, look, normally a ceremony takes place in a closed stadium. You can filter pretty much who's going into a closed stadium. You can't do that in the same way when a ceremony goes all along the River Seine. 6 kilometres, they're going to have to block off. And spectators will be able to come and watch along the side of the river, come and watch the ceremony at that point. So they're talking about 80,000 members of security staff, whether it's for the ceremony but also throughout the games, needed to ensure that everything goes all right, because it's going to be a truly open air, as we said, Olympics throughout Paris. So lots of challenges on that way. Obviously, that is among the main concerns, because it's going to be broadcast all across the world. And security, well, we're going to ask the head, as I said, of the company about a few little details about how he is affected by that and what they have to do. But as we can imagine, there's quite a lot of it that's kept in quite a secretive way for the moment.
Yeah, a few things that still yet to be revealed about the opening ceremony. And finally, James, I have to ask you, you are obviously on the River Seine, about the big clean-up project to make the river swimmable. Triathlon and marathon swimming are scheduled to take place in its waters. More than €1 billion has been invested in that clean-up operation. I know there's some very sceptical Parisians about that, myself included. Just how clean will that water be?
There is. We talk about organising everything that we can see, but then there's everything underwater. If events like the triathlon are going to be taking place in the Seine, well, the water needs to be crystal clean. It's not the case right now. I said this earlier on. We went to have a look, and as you know, the River Seine does not really make you want to go and jump in there and go for a little swim for now. It's one of the biggest challenges for Paris. They say that things are going well also on that side. They've compared the quality of the water at this time of year compared to what it's going to be like during the Olympics, saying that it is looking decent. But that's going to be a massive, massive challenge. We've talked about cleaning the Seine for years. I can remember when I was young, the mayor of Paris and then president of France, Jacques Chirac, said that he'd clean up the Seine and that he would cross it, swim across the Seine. Well, that never happened. Whether that happens this time round, I think the mayor of Paris is going to have to do it if she wants to prove that the River Seine is clean enough for everyone to swim in. But athletes are going to be the first ones to really test that out when they take part in the events on the river. But of course, it's more than that. Just as we mentioned it earlier on the show, there's more about just the legacy of the Olympics, because it's what is that actually going to bring for Parisians further down the line. Well, Paris has promised that Parisians will be able to swim in the Seine as of 2025. So that's the summer after the Olympics. That's a big promise. They've already planned out 3 zones in the centre of the city, because you can currently swim in one section towards the north along one of the canals, but not in the centre of the city. They've made plans for that. That's one of the promises. Let's hope they keep it.
I'm not sure I'll be taking a dip in it anytime soon personally, but maybe I'll have to give it a go. We can see how things pan out in 2025, can't we? James, still on his feet after a few boat manoeuvres there. We'll be crossing back to you later on.